Here's how I lost 7 kilograms in 7 weeks and went from looking like this to this. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 8 exact steps I used to do this. And the one thing I'd do differently if I was starting this diet again today. Because I used to think losing weight too fast meant losing muscle mass. And yes, while the research does show the faster you lose weight, the higher probability that you will be losing muscle mass as well, you can limit that significantly by doing the things that I'm going to talk about today. Step 1, eating a calorie deficit. Because I wanted to lose 1% of my body weight each week, I was eating in a 1,000 calorie deficit per day, which meant my daily calorie intake was 1,600 during this fat loss phase. So what you need to do is find your maintenance calories and then subtract 1,000 from that. That's your starting point. Step 2, eat a high protein diet. I was eating 160 grams of protein each day. That worked out at the time to be around 2 to 2.35 grams per kilo in body weight of protein, which might seem fairly high to some people, but because I was in an aggressive deficit, the chance of me losing muscle mass was much higher. Therefore, eating a high protein diet is one of the ways which you can reduce this. Step 3, lift weights at least 3 times per week. I was training 4 times per week, doing 4 full body training sessions, but make sure you're hitting each muscle group at least twice per week. You're doing enough volume across the week to stimulate muscle growth, and you're applying progressive overload to all your lifts when possible. And just because you're in a calorie deficit doesn't mean that you should lose strength. Step 4, eat 14 grams of fibre for every 1,000 calories you consume. Because I was eating 1,600 calories, I was aiming for 14 grams of fibre each day. Now, fibre won't have an impact in terms of your body composition result, but in my opinion, it's still one of the most underrated parts of a fat loss diet, because when you are in a calorie deficit, you are going to be hungry, but fibre is going to help reduce that, because the foods that we typically tend to find that are high in fibre are what we call very low calorie but high volume nutrient dense foods, which not only means that you're going to be able to eat more food volume, but because you are in a calorie deficit, the likelihood is that you could potentially be a bit nutrient deficient. But whereas if you're aiming for a high fibre target, then the foods that you are consuming will hopefully make sure that you're getting more of your micronutrients as well, because foods that we typically tend to see that are high in fibre are your fruits, your veggies, your nuts, your seeds, and so on. Step 5, add 2,000 steps daily to whatever you are doing now. I was aiming for a weekly average of 10,000 steps. Now, you don't have to walk 10,000 steps per day to lose weight, but the more active you are, the more energy you are going to expend. So whatever you're currently doing now, just add 2,000 more steps to it. And if one day you fall short, then just make it up on another day across the week. Step 6, implement refeed days or calorie cycling. To begin with, I cycled my calories, which basically means I had higher and lower calorie days. So what I would do is I would look at the week ahead, determine if I had any social events, meals out, anything like that coming up, and then I would nominate more calories to those days and then reduce on all the other days. However, as I got leaner and dropped below 12% body fat, I then moved into something called multi-day refeeds. How I implemented this was I used 2 consecutive days at maintenance, with the increase coming from carbohydrates, then 5 lower days with the deficit spread across them. Think of it like this: the leaner you get, the harder dieting becomes. Refeeds are going to help you manage your hunger, keep your energy up in the gym by replenishing your glycogen stores, and also just give you a little bit of sanity as you are going through the dieting process. Step 7, sleep 7 to 9 hours each night. I was getting at least 7 hours of sleep each night when going through my fat loss phase. Sleep is crucial when you're in a calorie deficit. It helps you recover from your training sessions, but also keep your energy and focus up throughout the day. Make sleep a priority. This is why I see so many diets fail. And finally, step 8, I didn't have a carbohydrate or fat target. I just flip-flopped between the two. I focused on hitting my calorie, protein, and fiber target each day. And then I let carbs and fats fill up the rest depending upon how I felt that day. Some days were more carb heavy and some days were more fat heavy. It allowed me a little bit more flexibility and freedom in my diet, but I just prioritized hitting my calories, protein, and fiber. So there you have it, the 8 steps I took to make sure I lost 7 kilos in 7 weeks. None of these steps are complicated. I just make sure I consistently did them across the 7 weeks. But the one thing I would change this time around, I would set a carbohydrate and a fat target from the start. I'd keep fats somewhere between 15 to 25% of my total calorie intake, and then get the remaining calories from my carbohydrates. Because when your calories are that low, having a carbohydrate target there will just help you with your performance in the gym as well. So that would be the only change that I would make this time around. Now, after watching this, you may be thinking to yourself whether you should be doing an aggressive diet or not. And the honest answer is it just depends. For some people, the right move might be to go into a gaining phase, a body recomposition, a fat loss phase. There's lots of different avenues you can take. So I've built a free quiz that takes less than 60 seconds to complete. It takes into account your training age, current body fat percentage, and a few other things as well. And it helps you decide whether you should be focusing on a fat loss phase, a body recomposition, or a gaining phase. It's free, and if you want to take the quiz, it'll be in the description, and I'll also pin it to the top comment. And finally, if you found this video useful, make sure you please subscribe and give it a like.